Hello, David here, and the project for today is a review of this Brownline torque wrench. Never heard of this brand before. My neighbors gave it to me because they were moving away, and I don't understand how someone could live without a torque wrench, but they didn't want it, so they gave it to me, and I'm happy to have it. In my review, I don't have any fancy testing equipment. All I'm going to do is compare it to the other torque wrenches I have. Let's talk about the features. It's made in Malaysia. The range is 15 to 150 foot-pounds, half-inch drive. It's reversible. It's electronic. The display is backlit. Supposedly it's easy to switch between foot-pounds and newton meters. It's got a buzzer alert to let you know when you hit your target torque, and accuracy is plus or minus 3.5%. If you watch my channel, not long ago I just did a review of this Nieco. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's either Nico or Nieco or Naco. This is a torque driver. It's a 1/4 inch drive and it measures inch-pounds. I'm not going to be able to compare to this, but my review on my channel is out there. And I do have two other torque wrenches that I can compare this to in my evaluation, and my collection of torque wrenches kind of follows the progression of technology in the torque wrench industry. This is my first torque wrench. This is my high school graduation present in 1970. It cost about $50 at the time. It's a snap-on made in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and it's a dial indicator, and it's got this little dial that follows the needle and stops when you stop putting torque to the wrench. It's not convenient to use because you're not always in a position where you could see the dial. It does not have any indicator. They did sell a model that had a little light that went on when you hit your indicator, but that cost more money, and I was happy to have this anyway. And next is my SK Tools half-inch torque wrench. This is made in the USA, and this is a click type. It's got a micrometer type adjustment in either foot-pounds or newton meters, and you hear an audible click when you hit your target torque, and I've been using this 99% of the time. The only problem with this is the lowest it goes is 25 foot-pounds, and sometimes when I have to read 20, I go back to my dial indicator, snap-on torque wrench. So the newest technology is something electronic that gives you a little beeper. I don't think it has a function where it lets you add a degree of rotation. There's a lot of torque values now where you're given a foot-pound to attain, and then they say give it another 45 degrees or give it another 90 degrees. I don't see a degree reading on this, but I push the power button and it doesn't light up. Let's take a look at what's going on inside of there. I assume the batteries are in here. Let's talk about the length of this thing. This thing is it's longer by my SK. Looks like about 1.5 inches. Overall length is about 22 1/4 inches. Let's open it up and see if there's any batteries in there. It uses a small Phillips screw, which I imagine will be very easy to lose. That's not pretty. Got some leaking batteries in there. They look like they're double A's. Let me clean this up. I was able to scrape this clean. It was that center one that was pretty corroded. I'll put some dielectric grease on there when I get it back together again. But if you look deep inside of here, it's hard to get your fingers in there. Okay, it's not going to focus, will it? Well, there's three separate channels in there. One for each battery. And there is corrosion down in there. So what I did was I have this little rod from a strut, and I glued a piece of sandpaper to the end, and I'm going to clean up the contacts. I have to let the epoxy set for... That epoxy's taken too long to set. I'm going to try to open the case and see if I could get access to that battery compartment. There's 6 of these screws that hold the case together. Well, that was easy. Okay, I'm going to continue cleaning this up. Okay, got the fresh batteries in. Let's see if we get a display. Oh, that's good. We got a display. So supposedly this has an auto shut off, excuse me, after 2 minutes. I see it's set for foot-pounds. Oh, I see. Top button changes it from inch-pounds to foot-pounds to Newton-meters. So what's the inch-pound range on this? Inch-pound range is 180 to 1,800 inch-pounds. Good to know. Okay, so how do I change... Don't see how I change the pounds. Maybe I hold it. No. Holding it, nothing's changing. Try press the memory button. What I wanted to know is, can I set it at say 50 foot-pounds, let it time out after 2 minutes and start it again? Will it come back to the 50 foot-pounds, or do I have to reset it? Oh, there we go. The setting's up here. So this is what you set, and then I guess this is what it's reading. So let's bring it up to 50. See, it goes in half-pound increments. Okay, it's on 50. I don't know if you could see that, but I'm just going to let it time out, and then I'll come back. It's been 5 minutes, and it is not shut off. See what happens when you press the memory button. Okay, when I press the memory button, that 50.0 foot-pounds stopped blinking. I'm going to shut it off manually. Okay, now it's off. Let's put it back on. And it did not go to 50 foot-pounds. Let me see what happens when I press memory. Nope, the 0 is blinking. Doesn't appear that the memory works. Auto shut off doesn't work. See what happens when I hold the power button, see if it shuts off. Okay, it shut off. Pushing memory did nothing. Push power to turn it on. I think the main takeaway from this is that, for one thing, I would remove the batteries when it's not in use. I'm afraid of the batteries leaking again. Another thing is, when you use this, got to make sure that you're on the unit of measure that you want, whether it's foot-pounds, Newton-meters, or inch-pounds. Make sure you double-check that, and don't depend upon the memory. Well, if you know your memory's working, you're going to be okay, but otherwise, if you're fresh to this model, I wouldn't depend upon the memory. Now, I don't see any backlight. Let me turn the studio lights off. Alright, I just have some light coming in through the windows, and it is backlit, so that is a good thing. I don't know if you could see it. I don't think the camera is doing a good enough job showing what the display looks like. One advantage of the digital torque wrench over the click type torque wrench of my SK model is that I was taught at the end of the day dial the torque wrench down to 0, because I guess there's springs in there or something. It's supposed to lengthen the life of the torque wrench. So every time I'm done using it, I wind it down to 0, and that's just something you don't have to do with a digital torque wrench. An instruction manual did not come with this product. I checked online. I couldn't find anything online. There was one YouTube video from the Brownline company, and it was just a sales video. Didn't have precise instructions. So let's take it out to the garage, and I'll try torquing a lug nut on the car. Fortunately, I don't have any left-hand drive nuts that I could work on, so I'm just going to try the one direction, which will be clockwise. Well, what do you know? I set it at 50 pounds and the power shut itself off after a couple minutes. I did set the memory before I walked away, so let me hit the power button, see if it goes back to 50 pounds. And it does not. Okay, that memory in the corner has to be blinking before you set it. Okay, it's blinking now. Set it to 50. As far as I can tell, all memory does is it keeps you from accidentally adjusting the torque setting while it's powered on. Okay, there's 50. Push the memory. I'm going to loosen one of the lug nuts. I'm going to use a breaker bar because long time ago I was told never to use a torque wrench for loosening nuts. Yeah, got the right direction, and it shut itself off again. Set it to 50 again. It's getting to be a nuisance. Okay, 50, memory. Can you see the yellow light? It's green, and I'm indicating 35 pounds, 40. At 40, the yellow light came on. Give it some more. 47, 48. There we go, it's at 50. Red light's on, and it's beeping. Let's put the SK on there. SK is set for 50 foot-pounds. Should click right away, right? Yeah, okay, it clicked right away. Let's go to the old school dial. Got my indicator on 0. This does not ratchet. Let's take it to, it's at 50. Okay, it's the nut just started turning when I got to about 58 pounds. Let's loosen it. Let's set it with the SK to 50. Okay, there's 50. Got the Brownline. Got to turn it on and set it again. Okay, 50. And it should buzz right away, right? I think it turned a little bit, but I think it's pretty close. Close enough, I think. I think they're within a pound of one another, and it's really not telling me if it's accurate or inaccurate. It just tells me that they're both close to one another. Let's compare it against the old Snap-on, isn't it? Okay, 50. Get the Brownline on it. And the Brownline shut itself off again. I don't like how quick it shuts itself off. Okay, we're on 50. This should buzz immediately. And it does. So all three are in agreement with one another. Now 50 is not the torque on this wheel, so I got to get my specs and get the right torque. 76 is the proper torque for the Prius. Let's check it against the Brownline. Gonna be a pro at setting this self up every time I need it. $76. Okay, it turned about 1.5 degrees. So, but I think they're both close enough. I'm going to keep this in the stable. I'm going to take the batteries out so it doesn't leak all over the place for the next time I need it. And you saw what I don't like about it. I don't like that the memory doesn't store itself once it shuts itself off, and I don't like the fact that it shuts itself off prematurely. I'd like it to be on longer. I'm sure that saves battery life. I like the fact that it reads inch pounds. I never use Newton meters, but it's there if I need it. And I like the range. It's got a pretty full range of settings for foot-pounds anyway. It was free, so how can I complain? Even if I bought it, I'd keep it. I'd be happy with it. I like the fact that it's got the red flashing light and it beeps when you hit your specified torque. And it also shows you where you're at as you're approaching that torque, and it's got the yellow light that shows, I think it's 10 pounds, so it shows you when you're coming up within 10 pounds of the desired torque. And be another tool in my stable of torque wrenches. And yeah, that click one was a lifesaver because I hated using that dial on the Snap-on because you can never, rarely ever see it. Doesn't tell you when you're approaching it, doesn't tell you when you reach it. It's got that little needle that stays where the needle set it, where the needle pushes it to a state where it shows you where it was, but it was a real nuisance. So that's all I have. I want to thank you guys and gals for watching. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more great videos from David GPO.